Hi, Mohammed. Let's take a look at these essays you've sent us. Okay, the first one is about students. Should they work before they study? Let's see what you said. Okay. Do you believe it's beneficial for students to obtain experience before enrolling themselves in the university? All right, I don't really understand the purpose of this. You're asking a question here, and then there's some mistakes with this question. I don't think it's such a good idea to include a question in an IELTS essay. It's supposed to be rather academic, and so this is not particularly effective. Plus, there are a couple of mistakes with the actual question. So this should not be it should be it is beneficial. And then, of course, the spelling of university is wrong and you need a question mark. But again, I just want to underline the fact that I don't agree with putting a question in your essay. Avoid this. Okay, I think what you could have done instead is just say that there is debate regarding whether students should work prior to university or if they should go directly into their tertiary studies. That would have been a smarter way to do this, I think. Okay, so then let's see what else you wrote. I think obtaining any kind of working exposure is extremely critical as it will not only bridge the expectation gap of young graduates towards their standing in professional world, but it will also make them self-sufficient in terms of meeting their financial obligations of the university period. This is, we'll discuss these points in detail, explain the same with examples. All right, the last sentence is fine. The second sentence was okay, a little long, to be honest with you. And what happens is when you make these kind of complicated sentences is you increase the odds of making a mistake. Okay, so let's see where those mistakes were. Working exposure isn't really a collocation that I think most people would find particularly acceptable. We just don't really say that. Let's see. I think obtaining any kind of work experience is extremely critical as it will not only bridge the expectation gap. I don't really understand what that means, the expectation gap of young graduates, and this really didn't make any sense, towards their standing in the professional world. See, some of this I felt like it just wasn't really natural English. It didn't really make sense. So I don't know if maybe you're possibly directly translating from another language but it doesn't really sound like natural English. And quite frankly, I'm not really able to convey what it is you're trying to say, so I can't really rephrase it. And then this was fine, the rest of the sentence, okay? You did say your position here, that's important. So good. So let's move on to your body paragraph. Unemployment is a hot topic for the government. Now, when you have a plural, there are only very specific times when you use a the in front of the plural. This is not one of those times, so let's get rid of that the. Unemployment is a hot topic for governments around the world, and this makes the students, you don't really need to say keep on contemplating. You could just say this makes the students contemplate whether their educational credentials will get them a suitable opening in the corporate world, and what traits exactly and what traits firms are looking for. How about that? Let's do that. So, and what traits firms are looking for in the graduates while considering them for available vacancies. So you can see I had to do quite a bit of correcting here with the grammar. A recent study indicates that IT professionals with basic finance understandings are preferred by hiring managers over having mere IT diplomas. Okay, let's see. All right. Therefore, prior work experience will enable them to have a rational opinion about the actual, I don't know what this means. I really don't know. Perceived opportunities, versus, without the E maybe. So the actual versus perceived opportunities before getting admission for master degree programs in universities. All right. I don't really feel like this essay has a very one central topic. It kind of feels like you're going all over the place and you're kind of you're like circling around the issue, but you're not really ever grabbing the issue and facing it head on. So what do I mean? Presumably you're talking about this how can I put this? It sounds like you're talking about that students basically they're more hireable when they have work experience. Okay, it sounds like that's what you're really trying to get out here, but it takes you a very long time to get to that, and then you don't really deal with it as extensively as you probably should. So let's kind of pull apart this paragraph and see what happened here. So this whole sentence was really very long, but you didn't really tell us a whole lot in it. Okay, you're just basically telling us students are concerned that maybe their degrees are not enough, okay, and they don't know what they don't know what the working world is looking for. I don't really think this belonged here. I think this probably could have gone in your first paragraph, in your introduction, okay. So yeah, it was really out of place here. I think you probably could have gotten rid of that sentence as we talked about in the beginning and replaced it with something more similar to this. All right, now here you talked about basic finance understanding, without the S ideally, but you never told us that that basic finance understanding rather, came from working before university. So you never really went into that. So now we have all of a sudden this recent study result, but we don't understand what it has to do with anything or why you've decided to talk about it here. And then you tell us about the prior work experience, but again, you never said that this was from work experience. Okay, and then all of a sudden you're talking about admission to master's degrees. So it's really rather confusing, and we're not really clear on what idea you're focusing on here and how you're supporting that idea. So you could say that it's not a particularly cohesive paragraph. Let's take a look at the next one. Students' performance, now here you needed an apostrophe after that S. Students' performance in universities is greatly impacted if they are finding it hard to meet the financial obligations to continue with the chosen 1O field of education. Okay, absence of a continuous source of income will either end in the discontinuation of studies, or it will result in this is the wrong word here, increment. You don't mean that. In the increase of financial debts. A recent research shows, we don't say a recent research, we say a recent study. Otherwise, you could just say recent research without the A. Shows that American, capital A, students are burdening themselves disproportionately with financial debts in the hope of completing the basic studies, plural here, and getting a white collar with a double L job. Thus, financial needs result, no S, in the loss, L-O-S-S, of many bright minds giving up their passion for formal education and ending in different crimes to arrange funds for their livelihood. Okay, again, I knew what you were talking about. I understood it, but I don't understand why we're talking about crimes all of a sudden. You're telling us here that they will either end their studies or they will have a lot of debt. Then, let's see, you proved that with this piece about the American students. Okay. And then I was okay with this, but then you started talking about crime, which really felt rather strange to me, like it came out of nowhere. So I would have gotten rid of that little piece about crime and just saying that, you know, people will either, you know, do this or they will begin their professional life saddled with enormous debt. Okay, that's certainly more connected to what you've said in this paragraph than suddenly talking about crime. To conclude, professional experience is extremely beneficial for students to sail through the university tenure with good grades and eventually landing in the desired workplace. All right. This is a little brief. I don't really care about this, to sail through the university tenure. It's probably not the most accurate way you could have said any of this. University tenure sounds wrong. And I also don't really care for sail through. It's a little too idiomatic here. But okay, it's fine. The rest of it, and like I said, I still would have liked an additional sentence. Maybe something kind of looking forward to the future. You know, in the future, we will see more students trying to get hands-on experience. Something like that, okay? Just to really wrap it up a little more effectively. All right, let's take a look at your task 1. Okay, so here it is. It's a letter about the item you need produced. Here's what you wrote. Dear production manager, I'm writing this letter to you to start production of a selected jewelry item for my wife with reference to our previous visit to your shop on the 30th of November 2019, comma, where you showcased without the have the latest designs of earrings. And as you know, my wife liked the traditional Pakistani handcrafted pair of earrings of white gold tiny blue stones. Okay. The grammar here needs a little work. All right, so let's try to do that. Let's correct some of that. Okay. You see, essentially, the sentence shouldn't end here. It should continue because you're referencing this whole thing is your reference, and then you want to go on to why you're referencing it. So in essence, it should be one sentence, but obviously that would be really, really, really too long. So we're going to have to do a few things to this entire paragraph. I want to keep what you wrote, but we still have to rewrite it so that it works. Because what you have right here, okay, it's just a fragment. It's not a full sentence. To make it a full sentence, you need to include this portion here. However, we really can't do that. It's far too long. So let's try to redo it. With reference to, no, let's get rid of this actually. Let's see. My wife and I visited your shop on the 30th of November, 2019, where you showcase the latest designs of earrings. Full stop. You may remember my wife liked the traditional Pakistani handcrafted pair of earrings of white gold with tiny blue stones. Full stop. Okay, and then let's see what you wrote. We would like to place an order for the same earrings, but would it be possible for you to send us pictures with small white diamonds instead of blue stones, as I think this will give them a more elegant look than blue. And this should probably be a question mark because here, this latter part of the sentence is a question. My sister is getting married on the 20th of December 2019, comma, and my wife is planning to gift her the selected earrings on her big day. As this is going to be an extremely important event for my family, I need your confirmation of timely delivery and should not be later here, than, and you want an A than, not then, 15th of December 2019. I'm looking forward to prompt response in this regard. Yours faithfully, careful with your typing, Mohammed Afzal. Okay. So let's see. Why do you need it? What item do you need? Okay, fine. And I think there was also something about when do you need it, but you already covered that. Okay, you covered all the points, so that's good. That's fine. Obviously, we ran into some problems with this paragraph. Again, it was grammar. Okay, grammar seems to be still a trouble spot. So I really, really need you to work on that just a little bit. Maybe do some exercises. I think I've been kind of clear with you about what the points were that you keep getting wrong. So those are some areas that I would like you to revise. In addition to that, let's look at that task 2 again so we can kind of see just one more time. There were a number of things that happened in your task 2 that I want you to work on. I already told you that this was a little too brief. This had some problems in it, and this also was lacking with a central idea. So I need you to kind of look at the template again to see how it's structured, what kind of elements go into it, and maybe return to that because I know you should have still access to that. I'd like you to return to using that template so you can make sure that you're putting in the right pieces to create a really solid and cohesive essay, okay? If you have any questions about that, please let me know in your next email to us. So go ahead and correct these and let's see some more work from you, okay? Good luck.